Okay, first I'm going to make sure this thing's pick it up. It should take several seconds. Okay, the video is picking up. Okay, so since the last stream on items, on revising the item section, I have changed the value of healing weapon damage to 2/3 more valuable than attack power. Whereas before it was 77.083 repeating percent more valuable than attack power. This is because such weapon damage could reasonably be blocked. If you don't hit the opponent, it doesn't heal you. Like, I guess. This is based upon vampiric bats and... Excuse me, this is based upon vampiric dust bats and vampiric mist bats having healing weapon damage on hit. That is, they heal whenever they hurt you, and it is not lifesteal damage, it just heal, period. Which is why I'm calling it healing weapon damage. And of course, that healing checks avoidance, including block chance. So, anyway, specific itemization changes. I can finally get to revising the rest of the section on items, and I'm finally done cleaning up the itemization methodology and the list of how much each stat costs on gear. Stat weights for each class and spec are being ignored, by the way. Outside of some certain exceptions, such as a limitation of how much avoidance gear can have, like there is right here, and a limitation of how much healing I'm going to have, like right here, and a limitation of how much stamina and bonus armor gear can have, like right there. Anyway, specific itemization changes. This is probably going to be somewhat outdated. Flight Blade throwing axes will grant a bonus to range attack power when equipped in accordance to how many itemization points they have. They're a high-level blue item, after all, and they should have something more than just standards on them, and throwing items can use some sort of love. In fact, I can just calculate how much range attack power they're going to have right now. So, they're going to be ILO 63. Now, I divide this by 5.75. I don't have to add or subtract from the 63 before that because it's a blue item. Excuse me, 6.75, not 5.75. They have 9.3 repeating itemization points. Ranged attack power costs 0.416 repeating, so divided by 0.416 repeating. And Flight Blade throwing axes have 22 range attack power on it. Due to the nature of throwing weapons, and the very limited nature of throwing weapons, I cannot make them have stats that affect things other than how much damage they deal. Because if you use them as a stat stick, then you won't ever want to use the throwing weapons because you can't repair them, and once you run out of the throwing weapons, they're gone forever until you get new ones. Until you loot new ones from the guy that dropped it. Or buy them from a vendor, which he's still not. Anyway, Breastplate and Chromatic Flight will have its fire resistance replaced with an appropriate amount of resist all for thematic reasons. It's called Chromatic Flight. That means it's from more than just the black and red flight, so it has resist all. Chromatic Boots will have resist all on them. Red Dragon Scale Protector, being made of red dragon scales, will obviously have fire resistance on him. Stoneskin Gargoyle Cape, due to its name, will have bonus armor on it. I don't need to explain that. Black Skull Shield, in order to differentiate it from the Green Tower, which is bumped up to item level 44, and character level 39. So because of this, Black Skull Shield will be re-itemized to be a Caster Shield in order to differentiate it from the Green Tower. Flame-Guard Gauntlets will have some amount of fire resistance on it. I'm not entirely sure about the thematics here. You know what? Flame-Guard, I'm just gonna delete this change. They guard the flame rather than guarding you from flame. Okay, okay. Where's the temporary changelog document? Decided that flame guard gauntlets don't necessarily need to have fire resistance on them. Okay, next up. Dragon's blood capable of resist all instead of 5 fire, nature, and arcane resistance. I don't know how much resistance all yet. I have yet to redo most itemization in the game. Abyssal Loader's shoulders, male pauldrons, and plate of paulets, that is, the shoulders that are dropped from the Solicitous World bosses, will now grant plus a stamina instead of plus 1% hit chance before the toughness are applied in order to prevent the items from being hyper-offensive. Abyssal Loader leggings, male leg guards, and plate leg plates will have the same change. They grant 8 stamina instead of 1% crit chance before their toughness are applied. For the sake of consistency, Abyssal Cloth Amulets will no longer grant 1 spell hit and instead grant 8 stamina before toughness is applied, and Abyssal Cloth Leggings will grant 8 stamina instead of 1 spell crit before toughness is applied. Testament of Hope, for the time being, will grant an extra 750 health to the wielder when used, totaling to 1500. I'm not quite sure about how to itemize this thing. Not quite sure at all. But however I itemize it, it's going to have a cooldown that is no longer than 10 minutes. And being a non-trinket with a non-use effect, it will invoke a random profession cooldown when used, and put all other non-trinkets that have a non-use effect on cooldown. On its cooldown, for both cases. Next up, Simon Crested Pads will be given some offensive stats and have its health per 4 be replaced with the health per 5 stat, which I changed to have something called life storage, which I already went over in a previous stream. Helm with Endless Rage, obviously, will grant you Endless Rage by granting you 1 rage per 3 seconds, which counts as an offensive stats. And it stacks with Anger Management, the talent. Said helm will also have other stats on it. Seal of Dawn and Rune of the Dawn will also increase your attack power and spell damage versus demons by the same amount as they do versus undead, but because of the Steven Itemization talent changes, these values will be reduced. These stats granted by suffixes of Formidable Dagger will be halved. Formidable Dagger is a green world drop dagger in the low 40s, but the dagger will also instantly kill any target of level 10 or lower that it hits. Rune Blade of Baron Rivendare will no longer grant you increased movement speed or health regeneration. Instead, it'll grant all players within a 30-yard radius an aura that grants 3% melee range attack speed and 5 health per 5, which is basically Unholy Aura for Warcraft 3. Except not nearly as much regen is involved. Headmaster's Charge will now grant only 17 SAM, 17 Spirit, and a 12-inch aura, but its aura will be passive. Yes, this counts as offensive for healers. And, this counts as an offensive item for healers. The nature resistance gear that drops from the Nightmare Dragons, barring Green Dragon's Skin Cloak, will be re-itemized to not necessarily have nature resistance on them. I don't want world boss loot to be too desirable for resistance fights. See as how such gear is very difficult to get your hands on. So you'll be expected to wear lesser nature resistance gear, like blues and stuff. Green Dragon Skin Cloak will be renamed to Corrupted Green Dragon Skin Cloak because those dragons are corrupted, and it'll have less nature resistance on it, but also have shadow resistance. Hammer Bestial Fury will re-itemize her double. Wait. Why would I have shadow resistance if it's corrupted? Yeah, Green Dragon Skin Cloak would have to have nature resistance on it. You know, I'm just gonna... Ornate. Hold on. Adamantium. There shouldn't be anything called adamantium anyway. You know, I'm just gonna delete this. Where's the storage? Made corrupted green dragon skin cloak cannot have shadow resistance on it. Now I'm going to make Ornate Adamantium Breastplate get renamed to something else. And corrupted green dragon skin cloak still get renamed. I'm going to put this down in other. Ornate Adamantium Breastplate will be renamed to Blessed Ornate Breastplate. Adamantium doesn't actually exist, and Deathwing was bound with Elementium instead of Adamantium. Elementium plates instead of adamantium plates. And Alex Chiraza, what? Reinforce. And Alexstrasza was bound with elementium chains instead of adamantium chains. Adamantium is retconned out of the game. If I didn't retcon adamantium out of the game, I'd have to enable players to get their hands on it as a crafting material. And that's basically that. Green Dragon Skin Cloak will be renamed to Corrupted Green Dragon Skin Cloak. Copy, Abyss Shard, paste. Rename Ornate Adamantium Breastplate to Blessed Ornate Breastplate. And retconned Adamantium out of the game. A very, very minor retcon. The things about Alexstrasza being banned by chains and Deathwing. Did I say Nefarion? I meant to say Deathwing. What the fuck was I thinking? Yeah, I did say Deathwing. Okay. Yeah, the thing about Deathwing being bound with Elementium plates and Alexstrasza being bound with Elementium chains are the only two things that are affected by the retcon. Everything else is the same. Fight blade without the L. First L. Okay. So, next up. Hammer of Bestial Fury will be re-itemized for subtlety rogues and probably have its speed changed too. Ooh, that's right. There's no pre-raid there aren't any pre-raid epic there aren't any pre-raid epic middling speed one-hand weapons that can be held in the main hand. Which is what a subtlety rogue would want. Except for the ones that are from world bosses and possibly probably Eve on hand. What do I do about that? What do I want to do about that? And then Irvin Guard is a healing shield. That's from a world boss too. Healing shields and sub-rogue main hand are missing from pre-raid epic weapons that are obtainable without killing a world boss or getting 40-man raid mats. That is, without doing 40-man raids or a world boss. Or relying on someone else to do a 40-man raid. Izalian will no longer drop a healing ring, but instead drop wait a second. Izalian could drop the mace, but you can't really drop a shield. Who would drop the shield? Jeez, let me see here. Cho Rush can still drop that hybrid cloak, I guess. I want Zygris to have those hunter gloves, because hunters don't get many pre-raid epics. Otherwise. Valflock can still drop those shoulders. I guess. You know what? Hunters are just going to get one less pre-raid epic. Okay, so Izalian will drop, instead of a healing ring, a epic one-hand middling speed, one-hand mace that's itemized for subtlety rogues. Middling speed mace. That's itemized for sub-rogues. Melee mace that has no strength on it. Isalian. Paste. Made Isalian. Isalian drop a sub-rogue mace instead of an epic healing ring. Epic sub-rogue mace. Made Made Quartermaster Zygris drop an epic healing shield instead of epic hunter gloves. Okay. Oh wait, I gotta say hyper offensive for the mace. Hyper offensive. Okay, now then. Did I say general purpose there? Okay, that's better. Hyper offensive healing shield. Wait a second. Oh. Shields of general purpose, okay. Wait. Caster shields have to be, this has to be hyper offensive or else people are going to use dungeon blues instead of this. Hyper offensive caster shield. Okay. It has to be hyper offensive or else somebody's going to just use a hyper offensive blue on him instead. This is listed as epic. Copy. Paste. Made Corb's shield be hyper offensive instead of general purpose. Made a hyper offensive epic healing shield instead of epic counter gloves. Okay. By hyper offensive, I mean the itemization of the items. No, it does not sacrifice armor or block value to get more offense. It's just the bonus stats are all offensive. 100% offensive in this case. In order to make extra sure that people use these epics to raid instead of blue items when they have the epic item. Extra sure. Because that's just what intuition would say to do. The intuition of a new player, that is. And I want the actual best choice to reflect that intuition. So, Earthen Guard. Yes, Capital Scarlet Savant will no longer be equipped by druids because druids are no longer, they no longer have cloth armor proficiency and they cannot learn them from any trainer. It is in order to make very, very sure that druids do not compete with priests, mages, or warlocks for loot from dungeons or raids. For cloth loot, anyway. Anyway. I also have a pet peeve against druids wearing cloth anyway. And other such things. So, made Earthen Guard be a warrior shield again. Item Beast will no longer have class restrictions on it. It does not have a reason to have class restrictions. This is one of the trinkets that you get from the Ren Blackhand quest that the Horde gets. The one that gives you the Ren buff. Blockhead's Breath, Mark of Tyranny, and Eye to Beast are the rewards. Speaking of which, Mark of Tyranny does not have class restrictions, and neither does Blockhead's Breath. Okay. I am going to change Mark of Tyranny to just do something completely different, probably. Anyway, next up. I'm going to drink some water, and then I'm going to get a new thing of water. Ooh. Pay my internet or electricity. Check to see if my internet and electricity bills need to be paid after the stream. To make sure I remember to do it. Okay. So next up, yes, I already did that. Book of the day, as I already went over in a previous stream, for miscellaneous changes. Book of the day will no longer have passive stats on it, and its on these effects cooldown will be reduced to 5 minutes, and its summon skeleton will be level 58 and deal 89 average damage per hit and persist for 1 minute before despawning. Like all temporary summons that are not summoned exclusively by warlocks, it has 15% crit chance, 15% spell crit, and it has the defenses of a typical NPC that is not elite and is of its level. And it has no bonus to hit chance or spell hit chance, or any resistances on it, unless otherwise it's stated. So next up, Ancient Cornerstone Grimoire will be similarly changed. It has no more passive stats, and it's on each effect now, instead of what it did before. Summon a level 60 Skeletal Mage on a 5-minute cooldown and spams Scorch, dealing 59 to 71 fire damage up to 21 times before despawning. It'll despawn after 5 minutes if its Scorch is not successfully casted, resisted or not, 21 times by then. Marketed Dragonlord will have its on-use effect, which it used to be a shield every 30 minutes that grants you 22 MP5 while active. That'll be replaced with the ability to instantly light an enemy within 30 yards on fire, dealing 1 to 42 fire damage every 3 seconds for 18 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Next up, proc/on-use changes. A new proc system shall be added to the game called Spell Procs per Minute, and can only be triggered by damaging and healing spells, but not totems, and by channeled spells such as Arcane Missiles and Rain of Fire, and by Shaman Weapon enchants and Pound Seals, both of which attempts to proc and never do damage. Actually, I'll just delete that part. That's a little misleading. Copy. Paste. Yes, and by Shaman enchants and Pound Seals. A spell proc per minute effect shall, not an SPPM effect, but a spell proc per minute effect. A spell proc per minute effect shall have a 1 in 120 chance to proc per 0.5 seconds of base casting your channeling time per spell proc per minute. Temperatures are doing fine. And spells whose base cast times are instant shall have a 1/40th chance per spell proc per minute effect, 2 chances to spell proc per minute effects. Not in the chat. The maximum SPPM that any proc may have is 3 if it can be triggered by Steel Command, 4 if it can be triggered by Drain Soul but not Steel Command, 9 if it can be triggered by Frostbite Weapon or Totem but not Drain Soul or Steel Command, or 10 if it cannot be triggered by any of those spells. Area of effect spells such as Flame Strike and Arcane Explosion have 1 chance to proc it per spell cast, or 0 if it doesn't hit anything. For channeled or persistent area of effect spells, it uses its chance as soon as it hits something, if at all. Flame Tongue Weapon, Flame Tongue Totem, and Seal of Righteousness with a 1.3 speed weapon all have a 2.6 repeating percent proc chance per hit per spell proc per minute, while they have a 6.6 repeating percent proc chance per hit per spell proc per minute with a 4.0 speed weapon, and having a quarterly lower proc chance per spell proc per minute with lower weapon speeds. And Seal Command will be 1 divided by 0.26 times more likely than Flame Tongue Weapon, Flame Totem, and Seal of Righteousness to proc spell proc per minute effects due to Seal Command's 26% proc chance. And Frostbrand Weapon and Frostbrand Totem, yeah, so it's changed to 26%. Your Frostbrand Weapon and Totem will have an 11.1 repeating percent chance per spell proc per minute to proc a spell proc per minute effect. Spells such as Draining Life and Siphon Life, which deal life steal damage, will count as damaging spells without counting as healing spells concerning spell proc permanent effects. Concerning SPPM effects. Save. Area of effect spells and triggering spell proc permanent effects will, if applicable, use it on a random target that the triggering spell cast already affected upon triggering, unless it is a smart heal, in which case it'll function as normal. Be right back. I'm going to wash my hand and touch something dirty. Water. Wands can also proc spell proc permanent effects. Yes, I'm back now. 1.2 speed wands will have a 2% chance per hit to proc a 1 SPM. 1.2 speed wands will have a 2% chance per hit to proc 1 SPPM effects, while 2.0 speed wands will have a 3.3 repeating percent chance per hit to proc 1 SPPM effects. Speed wands will have a 2% chance per SPPM per hit to proc SPPM effects, while 2.0 speed wands will have a 3.3 repeating percent chance per SPPM per hit to proc SPPM effects. Okay, that looks better. Copy. Paste. Now, that's the spell proc per minute system. On to the next stuff. Concerning proc per minute effects, Shield Bash and Shield Slam will count as 2.4 speed attacks, like one-hand weapons do for attack speed normalization. So, for example, Darkmoon card Maelstrom will count Shield Bash and Shield Slam as 2.4 speed attacks. So, anyway, using, equipping, or unequipping a trinket with an unused effect that is not a teleporter, Alterac Valley Trinket, or jumper cables will put all trinkets in the game that are not Alterac Valley Trinkets or jumper cables or teleporters on cooldown for the duration of the used trinket's cooldown. This will prevent min-maxing from getting out of hand in ways that you're better off not knowing about. Because you did in ways that you're better off not knowing about. Also, after I go and redo most of the game's itemization, I expect that no trinket will have a cooldown that's longer than 5, or rarely 10, minutes, aside from cables and teleporters, and do know that swapping from a trinket with no on-use to another trinket with an on-use, and do you know that swapping from a trinket with no on-use effect to another trinket with no on-use effect will not invoke a trinket cooldown? Do you also know that this will cause the optimal trinket setup to be either 2 passive trinkets or 1 passive and non-passive trinket? Paste. What? Okay. Paste. Okay. I hit the wrong button before that. Damaging procs will not be able to be triggered by Gouge or Scattershot, nor by Red Whelp Scale Belt reinforcements or Red Dragon Scale Belt reinforcements. More on that in a profession second. Why is this straw wrapper here? It should be in your trash. Okay. All temporarily summoned creatures that aren't Felguard, Infernal, Doomguard, or Quest NPC will have defenses equal to that of a standard non-elite NPC at their level, and 15% crit, 15 spell crit, 2.5 attack speed, and no bonuses to hit or spell hit, and irrelevant weapon skills will equal NPC level times 5, and they will not be targetable by buffs or healing spells other than those of the temporarily summoned creature, lest they be overpowered. Summoning a temporarily summoned creature will not cause you to dismiss your hunter pet, unsummon or unenslave your warlock demon, or stop mind controlling something, nor will doing these things unsummon a temporarily summoned creature. Wait. Healing spells wouldn't matter because I'm not balancing them around their health. I'm only balancing them around whether or not they have buffs. Excluding healing spell, excluding hots. Okay. So that means I can afford to let temporary summons get healed. Okay. Enable temporary summons to get healed by those by things other than the temporary summon. Healed, including hots. Okay. Yes, temporary summons are only balanced around their offenses and not around their defenses. Summoning a temporarily summoned creature will not cause you to dismiss your hunter pet, unsummon or unenslave your warlock demon, or stop mind controlling something, nor will doing these things unsummon a temporarily summoned creature. All effects from all items, from all non-class specific things that are available to players that reduce the enemy's stats will not reduce their stats, that is, their strength, agility, stamina, and spirit all at once, by more than 15. It will not reduce their attack power by means other than reducing their strength or agility. Why did I have that not reduce attack power part there? Oh yeah, that must be a pretty old change from back when attack power affected NPCs differently than it did players. So now, this is not an issue anymore. Copy. Paste. Enabled items to reduce the AP of an opponent. Made all non-class specific things that are available to players not be able to reduce the combination of strength, agil, stam, and spirit by more than 15. Spirit. By more than 15. How the fuck did I put spit there? So not just items. Save. Anyway. Horned Viking Helmet will now only incapacitate its target for 5 seconds, but its cooldown will be reduced to 2 minutes. Do note that it invokes a random profession cooldown when used. Actually, I'm just gonna delete that part there, because it's already mentioned somewhere else. The on-use effect of on... There's supposed to be a dash here. The on-use effect of a Teach will not be usable in Battlegrounds, that is the Carzon portal, in order to prevent a mind control exploit. That is, player A opens the portal, player B is a priest who mind controls player A's enemy, and then player A's enemy goes into the portal, which makes the enemy exit the battleground, and deserts the battleground, and then he does it to everyone else, and he wins in BG by default. The Lion Horn of Stormwind will now, instead of having a 1% chance when it's triggered to increase the armor of all party members for 250 for 30 seconds, it'll simply increase the armor of all party members within 30 yards by 152 at all times, similar to its Warcraft free function. Stacking if all buffs, including any Paladins of Vortinor and itself, and it'll also be unique equipped. This is to make the item get disenchanted less. The on-use effects and charges will be removed from manual Crowd Pummeler, and it will be replaced with a 1% chance on hit to increase your attack speed by 62% for 20 seconds. Duration refreshes is procs all procs. This is because such a level of burst threat can make raid bosses be too much easier than they originally intended to be. That it had used to provide bear druids can make raid bosses be too much easier than they originally intended to be. A crushable change. Arcane Infused Gem will also cause the one buffed Arcane Shot to also silence the affected targets for 3 seconds to make the item be more useful. I'm not quite sure about how to make that trinket from Blackwing Glare not be garbage. But that might... yeah, that'd probably do it. Anyway, next up. Mind Quickening Gem will also increase the mage's mana consumption for the target 2% while active. This is to nerf the item. Will copy, paste. Oh, hold on. I'm going to scroll up to the very top of the section here. Warding. Nearly all, most of the game's items are pending re-itemization. And some specific items that received specified changes and changes to the itemization of specific items may or may not be tentative. Due to their pending proper re-itemization. Copy, and I scroll back up to the very top of the section. which is going to take a while. Because this is a big section. Here it is. Good. Okay, now I scroll back down to where the hell I was before. I scrolled too far. Okay, next up. Rune Metamorphosis will have its cooldown, for the time being, lowered to 2 minutes. Oh, by the way, the Mind Quickening Gem change is tentative, so is the Arc and Infused Gem change. This, however, is not tentative. This is actually properly itemized, so is this. Anyway, Rune Metamorphosis will, for the time being, have its cooldown lowered to 2 minutes. It can be used to spam polymorphs to keep moving and pairing effects off of you. Which I guess would make that thing to be useful. The number of charges on Devil Sword 2's on-use effect will tentatively be increased from 1 to 2 charges so that it affects the pets next to attacks instead of just the pets next to attacks, to make the item suck less. Tentatively. Okay. Paste. Rune of meta. Okay. Gotta make sure it doesn't automatically scroll up. I mean, it's doing. I thought I'd figure it out to let you know. Okay. Devil Sword Eye will grant crit chance on use instead of hit chance on use. Although I did make hit chance spill over into armor penetration if you go over the cap, but still, I'll grant crit chance now instead of hit chance on use. The duration of Sanctified Orb will tentatively be increased to 1 minute to make the item suck less. A Mist Shard no longer grants you a free Voidwalker. Instead, it'll cast Howl of Terror, rank 1, with no mana cost. This change is made because a Mist Shard enables Warlocks to just sit around their capital city doing nothing because they're board assigned, while being able to get a free Soul Shard every 30 minutes by summoning a free Voidwalker and then putting it on staying out range in it, causing the Voidwalker to unsummon and refund you the Soul Shard that it would normally cost. I just kind of don't like that. It's not really that important that it changes there. Anyway, Seer Neil's proclamation changes simply be 1% chance on the hit to deal 135 to 162 fire damage, which is not tentative. This will massively nerf Dragon Breath Chili. 6 Demon Bag will have a 5-minute cooldown, and its Spell Hunters will be level 46 and deal 60.5 average damage per hit, and stick around for up to 30 seconds, but it no longer has a mana burn. Then 16 Bag's Fireball will hit for 378 to 453 fire damage. When we die for 50 fire damage over 4 seconds, 2 second ticks. And Frostbolt will deal 183 to 220 damage to low movement speed by 50% for 10 seconds. His Chain Lightning will deal 246 to 296 damage and jump like the Shaman spell. Its polymorph will last for 18 and 19 seconds and have a 20% chance to polymorph you instead. And its whirlwind, which if I recall correctly acts as the Burning Crusade Cyclone spell, will banish you for 9 seconds. Well, essentially banish. The proc of Dragon Call will have a 1% proc chance. By the way, it was changed to 2.7 speed. And its spells will be level 52 and will not melee stuff, and will instead spit acid bolts with a 3-second cast time to deal 49 nature damage on hit, and they'll despawn after 5 minutes have passed, or 6 acid bolts have successfully been spat out, resisted or not, whichever comes first. Cannonball Runner's summon will be level 50 in the target summon and spam instant 30-yard range attacks that deal 31 physical area of effect damage, 5-yard radius, and it'll have a 1-minute duration and a 10-minute cooldown. Do note that all damaging area of effect stuff, as well as crowd control area of effect stuff, other than taunts, in the game, actually I forgot to include taunts in that, but yeah, all this stuff now has a target cap of 6 targets. It will have absolutely no effect on more than 6 targets. Absolutely none. And those 6 targets are chosen at random within its radius. Of course, some specific things have a target cap of less than 6 targets, such as Whirlwind and Thunderclap. Anyway, yeah. If you want to see all the specifics, scroll down to general class changes. Anyway, Barra, Peasant Colors, Peasants will be level 58 and deal 33 to 47 damage per hit. Oh, by the way, this area of effect cap and stuff does not affect things that are exclusive to non-player characters. Anyway, Barra, Peasant Colors, Peasants will be level 58 and deal 33 to 47 damage per hit, and it'll have a 1-minute duration with a 10-minute cooldown. Defender of the Timbermaw summon, the Exalted Timbermaw Hold Trinket, will be level 58 and won't attack anything, and it'll stand bloods or healing wave on itself, you, and your allies at random for 30 to 54 health per spell cast, and it will not attempt to heal people until they're missing at least 100 hit points, but it'll despawn after no one successful heals or 5 minutes, whichever comes first, and it'll have a 5-minute cooldown. The Fire Elemental summoned by Cinder Bracers will be the same level as you are and deal 0.87202964900806663 damage per hit as fire damage. Per hit, per level. Per level. I almost forgot that part. Jeez. Glad I'm revising it. Per level. That's fire damage. And it'll be immune to fire, obviously. And it'll have a 1-minute cooldown. 1-minute duration with a 7-minute cooldown. Chromatically tempered sword will be re-itemized as such. The bonuses strength, agility, and stamina are removed, and they are replaced with a chance on hit to randomly do 1 of 5 things, each of them associated with one of the main dragonflights. This change is made for systematic reasons and to differentiate it from Ancient Courage Ripper. These effects are going to be based upon Chromagus breaths. If Ironfoe, Hand of Justice, Flurry Axe, and Thrash Blade's procs had an internal cooldown longer or shorter than 0.5 seconds, then it will be changed to 0.01 seconds to prevent players from instantly getting 10 extra attacks without overly nerfing the items. Spire of the Stone Shaper has its on-use effect. Removed and replaced with a small chance on the hit to petrify your opponent for 8 seconds. Works as a old on-use effect, but as a magic debuff. Does not affect elementals or bosses. No. Counts as a stun. Counts as a stun. This is to make the item not be gorge and make it be like Dark Iron Pulverizer, so sure. And it make it be like Dark Iron Pulverizer, so ensure that the proc chance is lower than that. So I'll ensure that the proc chance is lower than that Dark Iron Pulverizer, and that is going to the faster weapon speed. Actually, it'd be pretty much the same as Argon Pole Fighter. Okay, so. Copy. Yeah, that may expire its own shiver, not suck. Paste. Made Spire of the Stone Shaper's petrification just work exactly like a sun and as nothing more than that. By default, suns are primary diminishing returns. They are not secondary diminishing returns unless otherwise specified, unless they are specified to be secondary diminishing returns. So this is primary diminishing returns. The weapon Spinal Reaper is tentatively changed to give either 20 rage or 600 mana when it procs instead of either 20 rage or 150 mana. Because 150 is barely any mana at level 60. Thunder Fury stats are going to be changed and a lot, but I just haven't finalized it yet. Aside from it being slow, aside from it being a slow weapon now. Wait. No, wait, that's right. The Corrupted Black Bladed Kelser are being slow. Okay, so I just haven't finalized it yet. Yes, the Corrupted Black Bladed Kelser will be the legendary slow one-hand sword, while Thunder Fury will be the legendary fast one-hand sword. Hold on here. I'm going to pull up an outdated list of items that I've been working on. Tropical Chromatically Tempered Sword. See, it's just like what Chromagus does. Haphazardly rigged them all. Some of it, a lot of this stuff it has outdated itemization. It's going by outdated itemization formulas. Sulfuros. Thunder Fury is a slow of it. Okay, slow of it. It'd be a fast weapon. Made Thunder Fury be a fast weapon again. The Fang of the Crystal Spire's proc will no longer reduce the opponent's melee range attack speeds, but its proc will last for an extra 5 seconds. For now. Crystal's Ultrax proc will no longer damage the opponent, but its attack speed slow will last for an extra 5 seconds. For now. All weapon procs that reduce the opponent's attack speed, including that of the Hand of Antu's Soul, will no longer override Thunderclap Warrior to prevent such procs from being undesirable in raids to the point that you're better off using something that's 10 item levels lower. The Hand of Antu's Soul Thunderclap proc has changed to deal physical damage and crit like a physical attack, double damage, and off of melee crit to be consistent with the change in basic versions of Thunderclap or physical damage spells. I'll also change the damage it deals at some point. That the proc deals at some point. Copy. Paste. All weapons in the entire game that have a proc that reduces the opponent's armor will have that proc be replaced with something else, or in the cases of items such as Strike and a Hydra and Hook Fang Shaker, that component of their procs will do something else instead of the whole proc being replaced. Raids should not be obligated to use certain weapons just for raiding that are not nearly as good elsewhere anyway. Items that reduce the opponent's agility are not affected by this change, and reduces their agility will still reduce their armor. Nightfall's debuff will increase spell damage taken by 25%, but it now only has 1 charge per proc. It can stack, only causing the debuff to have an extra charge per stack. The Shatterer's proc, not in chat, will no longer work on enemies that are above level 60 to prevent it from being used to trivialize the 4 Horsemen encounter, which now heavily relies upon disarms. Very heavily. In fact, they require disarms to beat the encounter. Ravager's proc will now only hit up to 4 enemies per tick. Will now tentatively only hit up to 4 enemies per tick. It is proc with the 150. Ravager's proc will tentatively be changed to only hit up to 4 enemies per tick and deal 150 to 250 physical damage per hit. Different enemies might be turned up to each hit where applicable for the sake of trying to. I can leave that part out. This should get rid of melee cleave for good. The melee cleave metagame for good, especially after I decide what its proc chance is gonna be, which should be pretty low. Actually, how about I do that right now? So, Ravager. It is an iron level 42 weapon. So, 42. It is a blue iron, so I do not add or subtract to the 42. So this divided by 2.1, because it's a two-hand weapon, it has 20 itemization points. 40 attack power. This much damage per second. This much damage per minute. Now then, this is not a standard AoE, it only affects up to 4 targets, and it hits 3 times. What is 2/3 of 4? 4 divided by 3 times 2. Divide by 2.6 repeating to get AoE damage. This much AoE damage per minute for targets. Normally I divided by 4 because AoEs normally affect up to 6 targets, but this only affects up to 4 targets, so I divided by 2.6 repeating instead of 4. Because I'm assuming that AoEs hit 2/3 of the targets at all times concerning itemization. In order to make AoEs be a little less bad for single target, while not being too amazingly strong for actual AoE, or something like that. I did not explain that stuff. Anyway, now what do I do next? Actually, that looks like it's just that. This much damage per hit of the proc if 1 ppm. Now, if it's 1 ppm, it's 3.5 speed. 1 divided by 60 times 3.5. 0.583 repeating. I don't think it works like that. Now, if I make it 5.83 repeating times harder, it'll be like a 1% proc chance. 125 damage per hit of the proc if 1% chance on hit. To 50 damage per hit of the proc if 0.5% chance on hit. With a 0.5% proc chance. Okay. I just decided what Ravagers' proc chance is going to be, and I redetermined it. Wait, what the hell? Times 5.83 repeating. Yeah, it's actually exactly 125. How about that? Okay, sure. Paste. Whoops. Copy. Paste. Go a long. Yeah, it should get rid of melee cleave metagame for good. Go a long way towards getting rid of. Okay. Copy. Paste. Tentatively. No, spell that right. Tentatively. Whirlwind Axe, Sword, and Warhammer tentatively have their bonuses of stamina and strength replaced with -10 to Whirlwind's rage cost for thematic reasons. Re-itemize Ravager to deal 200 to 300 damage with its proc per hit of its proc, and have a 0.5% proc chance. Oh, it's no longer tentative. No longer tentative. So I delete that word tentatively. Chat. It's only 10:32. Computer temperature is still fine. Wow, 69 degrees, 68 degrees. CPU's really going at it. Not that hard though. Not that hard. As long as it ain't 80 degrees. Sprinter's Sword's proc will not stack. Replace that won't. Won't stack with Swift Explosion. Both may be up at once, but only the larger speed boost will apply. Sprinter's Sword is a quest reward from Pilsility Elders as Short Children or something like that. As Short Children or something like that. One of Darmali's quests, anyway. And Sprinter's Sword is a 2-handed sword of 2.8 speed. No, I'm going to make it be something other than 2.8 speed. I'm not. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Diamond Flask. Yes, Diamond Flask will no longer scale field equipment, spells, or effects. It'll tentatively be changed to instantly heal you for 110 hit points instead of granting you 9 health per 5. Hand of Edward the Odd will not increase the casting speed of any item. Only spells. Copy. Yes, only of proper spells. It'll only affect proper spells. Items such as Hearthstones, it'll only affect proper spells. But it's okay if Shamus can get an astral. But it's okay if Shamus can get an industrial. But it's okay if shamans can get an instant astral recall out of it. Metal Gear Graph's AP Sepos will now have a maximum duration of 10 seconds. It'll still have one charge. This will prevent you from getting a Battle Gear Graph proc and then taking Patrick Hateful Strikes without having to do anything, without having to even equip a shield, and just parry every single one of his Hateful Strikes. Anyway, Black Husk Shield will no longer have charges, so it'll have infinite charges, but it'll have a 30-minute cooldown for now. Do you know that this is casting profession cool? But I'll have a 30-minute cooldown for now. If it wasn't the case before, the proc from the Big and Orange effective Hallow's End treats will not work on enemies that are immune to movement slowing effects. Orb of Exception will turn High Elves into Ogres, and Ogres into High Elves. Yes, you can play as Ogres and High Elves now, including female Ogres, which are not going to be pretty. High Elves are an Alliance race, and Ogres are a Horde race. No, you cannot play as Blood Elves. Those are neutral right now. They're actually a neutral faction in the Ghostlands and Neversong Woods. Anyway, weapons from raids, including items from 10-man raids in Lower Blackrock Spire and Upper Blackrock Spire, will often have crazy chains and hit effects on them. These weapon types include daggers, fixed weapons, one-handed axes, one-handed maces, one-handed swords, polearms, melee saves, two-handed axes, two-handed maces, two-handed swords, bows, crossbows, guns, caster weapons, and possibly offhand throws and caster shields, but not hunter stat sticks, such as the polearm that has nothing but agility on, like Hudson's Harpoon. So, next up, unequipable item changes. Magic Dust now has a 25% chance to hit both you and the target, and a 25% chance to just hit you, and it does not work upon enemies that are above level 60. That stuff is really fucking overpowered, and I don't need to explain why. Need to explain why. Copy. Magic Candle now, instead of hurling a fireball at something, shields you against up to 375 fire damage for 5 minutes on a 5-minute cooldown. Because that fireball can be used to do some pretty cheesy stuff in PvP, specifically to hunters, and it can be used to interrupt, to push back people's spells. But more importantly, it can be used to get the aspect of the cheetah / pack days on people. I kind of don't like that. I'd rather it just do that. So I made it do something completely different instead. Jungle Remedy now only works on poison and diseases of up to level 45 in order to make him not outclass at powerful anti-venom. Chat. Of course not. I have no exposure and I did not advertise it. The Scepter of Celebras is given a 12-hour cooldown to make it be less profitable to farm Mardon at level 60. Sheen of Zanza will no longer work on enemies at level 61 or higher. That is the Spell Reflection Potion that you can buy from Zandalar Tribe Reputation. Get from Zandalar Tribe Reputation. Crystal Yield and Crystal Restore are removed from the game, but don't worry, they will be replaced with other quest rewards. They'll be replaced with new quest rewards. New items. All holiday beverage buffs, such as Fiery Festival Brew, won't stack with other beverage buffs, such as Royalty Run Black Label, if/where it wasn't the case before. Copy. Beast. Snowballs will no longer knock players, or anything else, down, and, as such, it won't stop affected players from falling in any way, shape, or form. Admittedly, my explanation there for Magic Candle is kind of flimsy, but I'm just going to do it anyway. It is a pet peeve of mine, at least. Well, no, that's actually not a very bad way to put it, but yeah, I'm just going to have it there anyway. Anyway, it's such a minor change, but yeah, so snowballs will no longer be usable for movement exploits or slow fall, or ghetto slow fall. Conjured items and items of limited duration cannot be wrapped up in wrapping paper if they can be before. For obvious reasons. Blood of Innocence, these up from Skullmans, will be renamed to Blood of Tortured Innocence in order to thematically differentiate it from the vials of innocent blood that are dropped by Syndicate Shadow Mages for the quest Blood of Innocence. Krieg's Stout Beatdown now grants 25 spirit and minus 5 int for its duration. Lesson 7 Fruit Juice now grants 15 spirit for its duration. Well-fed foods and beverages will not stack with each other. Well-fed foods and buffing beverages will not stack with each other, and said buffs will all grant 15 itemization points worth of stat at level 60. Wait a second. 25 spirit. What the hell? 20 spirit in my assignment. What the hell was I thinking? Made, Creed, Stout, Beatdown, grant 5 less spirit. Enriched Mana Biscuits will now only grant 2,148 hit points, 2,930 mana, 2,934 mana over 30 seconds. Oh, hold on. Yes, this is the Argent Dawn food plus water stuff. Enriched Mana Biscuits will now only grant 2,148 hit points to 2,934 mana, that is standard level 45 values, over 30 seconds, but they'll be considerably cheaper than before. Ultrax Ring Water, which used to be level 55 water, will not only cover 2,934 mana over 30 seconds, but it'll also increase your spirit by 15 for 10 minutes. Oh. Considerably cheaper than before, and require level 45 to eat. And require level 45 to drink. Gotta remember those parts. Copy. Paste. Remember to make enriched mana biscuits and Ultrax Spring Water. Require level 45 to consume. Do note that they were nerfed to level 45 food/water values. To 2148 hit points, such 2934 mana. Battleground food will be modified as follows. Level 25 food will give health and mana as standard level 35 food. Standard level 35 battleground food will give health and mana as standard level 45 food. And level 45 food will grant health and mana like standard level 55 food, as will Ultrax Mana Biscuits. Essence Mangoes will now restore 3,180 hit points and 4,200 mana over 30 seconds, instead of 2,550 hit points and 4,410 mana over 30 seconds, to make it be more like standard level 55 food/water. These changes to high-level food and drinks not only serve to make Essence Mangoes be good for something in the first place, but they also serve to make mages make less money by selling food and water, and to make more glory due and standard level 45 food stay relevant after reaching level 55, and so cause people to actually spend gold on it, which will help to keep inflation down. And why am I making battleground food grant health and mana as if they are 10 levels higher than regular food? Because I want people to use battleground food over essence mangoes. I don't want people to use essence mangoes instead of battleground food when they're in battlegrounds, because that would be because I don't want tryharder to get it out of hand. You need reputation to the Xanathar tribe to get essence mangoes, and to get reputation to the Xanathar tribe, you have to do Zolgara by actually stepping foot in there, because coins and bujus and idols no longer exist. The quest essence mangoes will reward you 20 essence mangoes rather than 10 of them for now. Lesser Arcanum of Veracity will grant an extra 2 to its stat for a total of 10 strength, agility, stam, int, or spirit in order to make the itemization budget of Libras presumably more consistent than before. Just be more consistent than before. Copy. Paste. New user. Arcanum of Focus will grant an extra 2 to the spell damage/healing for a total of 10 spell damage/healing in order to make the itemization budget of Librams be more consistent than before. Paste. Lesser Arcanum of Constitution will now grant 10 arcane resistance instead of 100 hit points in order to avoid conflicts with Lesser Arcanum of Veracity stamina, and to add a 5th resistance option for head enchants. Lesser Arcanum of Resistance will not Lesser Arcanum of Resilience will grant half as much fire resistance as before to make the itemization budgets for head enchants be more consistent. Lesser Arcanum of Rumination will now grant 7 MP5 instead of 150 mana in order to avoid conflicts with Lesser Arcanum of Veracity intellects. Lesser Arcanum of Tenacity will grant 25 less armor than before, so 100 in total, in order to make the itemization budget to the Librams be more consistent than before. Libra of Rapidity will now grant 2% melee and range haste instead of just 1% melee haste. Copy, paste. Arcanum of Protection will be renamed to Arcanum of Retaliation, and it'll grant 4 Arcane Thorns damage instead of 1% dodge chance. All Librams will no longer work on item level equals 54 or lower. By which I don't mean Paladin relics. Yes, all those will no longer work on items of item level 54 or lower. The Fiery Blaze enchant will no longer work on items of item level 44 or lower. Eternal Contestants will now require Exalted of the High Draxian Waterlords rather than Revere, giving you a reward for hitting becoming exalted, hitting exalted with them. The cooldown of Lily Roots is increased to 5 minutes for now. Lily Roots are created by the Lay of Lilies. They act like Knight's Dragon Breath, except they're not as powerful. Frozen Rune now absorbs 3,000 fire damage and has its cooldown and duration reduced to 2 minutes. Hearthstones may no longer be used while in combat, unless you're under the protection of Divine Shield, or if I recall correctly, a similar spell. That exception is actually written under Paladin changes, if I recall correctly. All Dire Maul class books, as well as Forward's Compendium of Dragon Slaying, will now be bind on pickup, making them be much, much, much rarer than they were before, like normal dungeons, and also make the compendium be that much more epic than before. Because the regular Kelsarar no longer exists and is replaced by the corrupted Black Blade of Kelsarar, which is now the legendary item, this is actually going to be a much rarer book than before. Well, actually, no, it's not going to be that much rarer than before, because you're also going to require a 40-man raid loot in order to get the sword. Furthermore, Forward's Compendium of dragon slaying will be far rarer than before, due to it being a quest starting item that leads to getting a legendary sword. That also requires very rare 40-man raid loot to acquire. Copy. Paste. Greatly increase Mayfor's compendium of dragon slaying be far rarer than it was before. Ectoplasmic Distiller will no longer generate threat because it is extremely overpowered. Stratfall Holy Water will not make demons and undead in its radius panic for 7 seconds on a 4-minute cooldown instead of hurting them. Panic means unbreakable fear. Excuse me, panic means fear that is not broken by damage taken. Like General Dracostaff's Conflagrate. Dark and Melodic Rune will grant you 1,538 to 2,462 mana at the cost of 923 to 1,497 hit points, which cannot critically strike. This item was not balanced around the health cost. It was only balanced around the mana cost. Dark and Demonic Runes will, when used, inflict you with a red debuff called Tainted Soul that persists through death and halves the mana gain from the spell Life Tap for 1 hour. This will prevent Warlocks from rolling on Dark and Demonic Runes over classes that cannot cast Life Tap, which I really, really hate. Whipperroot Tubers will now restore 1,091 to 1,309 hit points on a 2-minute cooldown, which cannot critically strike. Night Dragon's Breath will now restore 545 to 655 hit points and 909 to 1,091 mana on a 2-minute cooldown, which cannot critically strike. Lily Roots will now restore 418 to 502 hit points and 697 to 836 mana on a 2-minute cooldown, which cannot critically strike. Do note that Night Dragon's Breath and Whipperroot Tubers are basically equal to major health stones. By the way, there is no longer an improved health stone style that was replaced with an improved demon armor talent, which is called Demonic Warding. Razor Lash Roots will now restore 450 health and 750 mana over 10 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. This is a little known item that has a small chance of dropping from the boss of Mordon called Razor Lash. As a result of pearls now being directly socketable into items, pearls may no longer be stats, unfortunately. As part of making all non-magical explosions deal physical and fire damage, explosive rockets will be changed to deal 7 physical and 4 fire damage, which cannot critically strike on a 5-minute cooldown. As part of making all non-magical explosives deal physical and fire damage, M73 frag grenades will be changed to deal 130 physical and 96 fire damage, which cannot critically strike on a 5-minute cooldown. And while I'm at it, there's 3-second stun, quotation mark stun, quotation mark, that is stun that has charges on it. It will be replaced with a 2-second proper stun that does not break upon taking damage to be consistent with engineering grenades. And as part of making all non-magical explosives deal physical and fire damage, Goblin Fishing Poles will be changed to deal as much damage as Dynamite does, and then have this cast item cooldown, but not its engineering requirement. Sporadic Frauds, which are a low-level quest reward from Teldrassil, shall, if I recall correctly, shall be bind on pickup. Eye of Arachnadia, Whale of the Banshee, and Clutch of Foresight, which are the green consumable items that drop from Strat Dead, They will no longer drop from any non-player character and will instead be rewards for non-repeatable quests of some sort that the Argent Dawn offers. Probably. Elemental Flux will no longer be sold by any vendor. They must instead be transmuted by elemental alchemists. See section number 8.1 Alchemy for more information. By the way, Elemental Flux is going to be like Weak Flux and Strong Flux in that it'll be the next Flux up from Strong Flux and actually get used for more than just Thunder Fury. It'll be used for very many blacksmithing plans from 205 to 300 skill. And it'll be much cheaper than before, overall. Scrolls of Protection shall grant lower amounts of armor as such in order to be according to the itemization formulae. Scroll Protection 1 grants 30 armor, 2 grants 70 armor, 3 grants 110 armor, and 4 grants 150 armor. All tier tokens shall be changed as such. Zul'Gurub, quotation mark, Zul'Gurub set armor, but not any other trinkets, will now drop its equipable items from the raid. For example, instead of seeing Primal Hikari Stantia drop, you'll see either Zaydalar Confessor's Wraps, Zaydalar Demoniac's Wraps, or Zaydalar Haruspex's Wraps. Tokens from the Ruins of Anchorage will be replaced with the weapons and armor that can be made by them, which will drop directly from the raid. Without having to first be crafted by a quest giver. Tokens from the Temple of Anchorage will be replaced with the armor that can be made by them, which will drop directly from the raid without having to first be crafted by a quest giver. Tokens from Next Raiders will be replaced with the armor that can be made by them, which will drop directly from the raid without having to be first crafted by a quest giver. Without having to be first crafted by a quest giver. As such, none of these items will require items such as Crystal Scarabs, Idols of Life, War-Torn Scraps, Arcanite Bars, or Mooncloth to craft, and will no longer require a reputation of the relevant raid faction to obtain, and the items whose sole purpose were to be recons for these items, namely items such as Crystal Scarabs, Idols of Life, and War-Torn Scraps, will be removed from the game outright. All of these scarabs are also used to get a different version of non-normal ring, which require other items in its place. More on this in section number 4, World. Changes to items that grant world buffs. See section number 4 World under World Buff Changes. Weapon speed changes. There ain't that many of these. Oh geez, I got a lot more left. How long have I been streaming? An hour and a half. I'm in the chat right now. So these speed of the soul threads of last year will be increased by exactly 0.6 to become 3.2 speed. This thing can feel more epic. I don't feel epic to more than just Red Paladins, but I also don't want it to be so good that most people will Soul for at higher levels than you normally would for soul trades. I also have Survival Hunters in mind. This is a Survival Hunter weapon. 3.2 speed is the perfect speed for a Survival Hunter, considering latency. Hey. 3.2 speed gives you a little bit of reaction time to not have to be able to spam the button and make the ability not get clipped or whatever have you. You'll be able to use Devil's Slow Strike and Raptor Strike both on cooldown with the 3.2 speed weapon. And while also making every single of your attacks be Devil's Slow Strikes or Raptor Strikes. Anyway, the speed of Black Blade of Sharon is lowered to 3.9 speed to differentiate from the Rune Blade of Bear Ribbon there. Its proc chance will obviously be changed accordingly. Whirlwind Sword has its speed decreased from 2.9 to 3.5 so that it doesn't suck. The Purifier, the Argent Dawn gun, from Argent Dawn Exalted, which is formerly from Insignia of the Dawn Crusade, it'll be turned into the 3.1 speed weapon. Typhoon, the two-handed sword from Azure Ghost will be turned into a slightly slower weapon, speed 3.2 speed. Imperial Demolisher will be turned into a fast weapon, being between 1.5 and 1.8 speed. This doesn't need to be here anymore. That's outdated. Made Empyrean Demolisher be a slow weapon again. Let's see. Rune Blade of Bear Rivendell will have a speed increase to 3.3, becoming a survival hunter weapon. The speed of Holy War Sword, the World Drop Green level 61 hand sword, will be decreased to 2.8 to make the item be more useful. Demon's Claw will become 2.8 speed. Divine Warblade will become 3.7 speed. Death Striker will become 3.2 speed. Brute Hammer will become 3.8 speed. These are all green suffix world drops with suffixes on them, random suffixes. Dragon's Call, like I said before, will become 2.7 speed. And Elemental Blade will be turned into a dagger. And the same model as before, and it will be turned into a 1.6 speed weapon, giving casters an extra option for a one-hand pre-raid epic caster weapon. Oh, that reminds me. Oh, jeez. I don't need to make the boss of Deathholm drop an epic caster dagger anymore. General purpose. Why the fuck does it say general purpose? Hyper offensive. Hyper offensive. I don't want casters to have to rely on Transtone to get a pre-raid epic offhand frill. Offhand frill. Drathier. Okay. Change this to hyper offensive. Okay, good. Save. Save. Transtone is it drops on the Nightmare Dragons. I don't want players to have to kill world bosses to get pre-raid epic stuff. All their pre-raid epic weapons. Anyway, drop changes. Now we'll automatically scroll up. Anyway, drop changes. An NPC or container's loot will be generated when it's first looted, rather than when the container or NPC spawns. This will theoretically prevent exploiters from forcing certain loot to drop from dungeons and raids. At least theoretically. I don't know if it's just a joke or not, but just to be sure. I mean, I don't know if raid seeding is just a joke or not, but just to be sure. Concerning the below changes, items such as the Head of Onyxia and the Eye of Cthulhu will count as one item, even though the associated quests grant more than one item as a reward. The following raid bosses will only drop one piece of equipable or legendary raid exclusive loot, excluding quest items that are not quest starting items. Azure Ghost and Lord Kazak. Why didn't I do this? Nightmare. Azure Ghost, Lord Kazak, and the Twilight Lords. Okay, okay. Save, I guess. Okay, so the following raid bosses will only drop two pieces of equipable or legendary raid exclusive loot, excluding quest items that are not quest starting items. Zolgarub's High Priest, Gazran Ka, Lucifron, Gehenna, Shazra, Sulfuron Harbinger, Magmandar, Gold Magazine Incinerator, Veilstrides Corrupts, Broodlord Latchlayer, Firemaw, Even Raw, Flamegore, Chromagus, Patchwork, Grobulus, Gluff, Onyxia, the Nightmare Dragons, Azudos, Lord Kazak, and the Twilight Lords, and Dukes and Templars. Bosses that drop quit starting items will always drop said items, which will count as 1d2 items that they can drop. Abyssal Scepter, Signet, and Crest counts, but not Sulfuron Ignite, Mature Black Dragon's New, or Onyxia's bags. So Onyxia can drop up to 4 items, including her head, the bag, and its new. Copy. Paste. Enabled Kazak and Azur Ghost to drop an extra item when killed. A second item when killed. Less misleading. That's like it is. So generally, each 40-man raid will drop 24 items, excluding trash drops, per reset, except AQ40, being a double lockout, will drop 48 items, and Nax, being a quadruple lockout, will drop 96 items. If I recall correctly, anyway. The following raid bosses will drop only 3 pieces of equipable or legendary exclusive raid loot, excluding quest items that are not quest starting items. Bloodlord Manko Deer, Jinno the Hexer, Edmund bosses, Picard, Gar, Baron Gadon, Metronome Executus, Ragnaros, every Blackwing Glare boss, Anuber Khan, Great Royal Fairlina, Not the Plague Reaver, Hagen the Unclean, Instructor Zuvius, Gothic Harvester, Patchwork, Grobulus, Gruff, Mayexna, Not the Plague Reaver, Hagen the Unclean, Lotep, Instructor Zuvius, Gothic Harvester. It's supposed to be a K. The Four Horsemen, and Thaddeus. Bosses that can drop quest starting items will always drop set items, which will count as 1 to 3 items that they can drop. That 96 figure does, that 24 figure does not sound right. Okay. Every AQ20 boss drops 6 items. 6 times 6 equals... Whoa, 36 items. Saffron drops 6, Kilsazad drops 6. Thaddeus, Four Horsemen, Gothic, Resuvius, Lotheb, Hagen, Noth, Mayexna, Gluff, Grobulus, Patchwork. I put Gothic twice. Wait. Did I put an Ubercon twice? I did not put an Ubercon twice, I did put Fairlina twice. No, I did not put Fairlina twice, I did put Noth twice. Yes, I did put Noth twice. Did I put Hagen the Unclean twice? Yes, I did put Hagen the Unclean twice. Did I put Instructor Resuvius twice? Yes, I did. Did I put Gothic Harvester twice? Yes, I did. Did I put Patchwork twice? No, I did not. Did I put Grobulus twice? No, I did not. Did I put Gluff twice? No, I did not. Did I put Mayexon twice? No. Did I put Losa twice? Did I put... No? Okay, that's better. That's better. Copy. paste. I need to clean this shit up. Get the name revising it right now. Okay, let me see here. So, every Naxxramas boss wait, hold on. 6 from Saffron, 6 from Kel'Thuzad. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 are bosses. 13 times 3 equals 39. So that's 51 items from Naxxramas. Oh, I need to clean this up. Wait, 51 minus 3 equals 48. Scroll back up to Dungeons and Raids. Naxxramas requires 2 raid lockouts and stays you for 2 weeks. Okay, so this needs to have 4 times as much loot as a typical raid because it stays you for longer. AQ40 requires 2 raid lockouts to enter and stays you for 1 week. Okay, let me see here. CG, AQ20, MC, Black and Glare, AQ40, Nax. Let me see here. Zul'Gurub's High Priest. There are Bat, Spider, Panther, Tiger, any other ones? Stakal, Venoxus. Let me see here. Venoxus, Jeklik, Marley, Stakal, Arlok. Bat. Bat boss, Snake boss, Spider boss, Panther boss, Tiger boss. Tiger boss, Panther boss. Okay. So there's 5 High Priests. Zul'Gurub's High Priests. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus Gazan Gra plus Lord Mankadir, 3 plus Genuine Hexer, 3 plus Edge of Madness, 3 plus Hakar, 3 equals. Copy, paste. 24. That is correct. All 6 AQ20 bosses. 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 36. That is too many. Geez, this is supposed to be under 4 items. It's not 6 items. Molten Core. Lucifron, Gehennas, Shazra, Sulfuron Harbinger, Magadar, Gomeg. What? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gar, Baron Geddon, Executus, Ragnaros. Copy, paste. 48. This isn't supposed to be 48. Wait. Oh. No, this can't be right. This can't be right. 24. That's more like it. 24. Blackwing Glare. Veilstraw's Corrupt makes 2. Broodlord Lashmare is another 2. Fireball's another 2. Ebenrock is another 2. Flame Gore is another 2. Chromake is another 2. Oh, every Blackwing Lair boss. There are 8 Blackwing Lair bosses, so that makes 24. Okay, this is actually, jeez, this really needs to be cleaned up. Oh, I'm glad I'm cleaning this shit up now. So that's 3 times 8 equals 24. 6 times 6. AQ 40. None from AQ 40 it looks like. The Prophet's Garam, that makes 1. Bug Trio, Sartora, Fankris, Fiscudus, Buhuron, Veclor, Vecnilash, Oro, and Cthulhu. Oro and Cthulhu are going to have pretty big loot tables. Copy paste. That is 48. Now then, next is 13 plus 2 equals 15 bosses. 13 plus 15 bosses. Totaling to 96 items. Divided by 15 times 15. 13 times 6 equals 78. 96 minus 78 equals 18. The 13 bosses that aren't in the middle drop 6 items, while Saphiron and Kel'Thuzad drop 9 items. So, 13 times 6 plus 9 equals 96. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Nine, Saphiron and Kel'Thuzad. Replace that which will with which all. Copy. Paste. Cleaned up how much loot next Ramus raid bosses drop. Made next Ramus bosses drop much more loot than before. Save. Okay, that's much better. Stream for nearly 2 hours, okay. It's on 21 right now, I don't have to get lunch yet. So next up. The drop chance of punctured voodoo also in Paz and Zolgarov are greatly reduced since they are no longer needed for Zolgarov head or leg enchants. They are only needed for the trinkets now. The non-player characters in and around the Black Rock Depths will no longer drop black diamonds any more often than they drop other gems. Because I don't want black diamonds to be things that are so worthless they don't even get vendored, they get destroyed. If they vendor for 1 copper, they'll be vendor trash. Anyway. However, you can't even vendor them. Small flame stacks will not only drop from red, black, and chromatic dragonkin because other dragons do not breathe fire. Blood of Heroes is no longer looted from the Blood of Heroes object. It's now looted from Fallen Heroes instead, which spawn from Blood of Heroes, of the 75% drop rate. You'll still have to loot the Blood of Heroes object, but it's additional loot to make the Fallen Heroes spawn. All Infernals, including some Infernals, are given a 5% chance to drop an Infernal Stone because thematics. Which is a regen that you need to summon Infernals. As a Warlock. For Warlocks to summon Warlocks need summon Infernals. The drop rates of items such as Fell Striker, Blade of Eternal Darkness, and Chromatic Carapace, but not Savage Gladiator's Chain, will be set to approximately 1% so that these are realistically attainable, or in the case of Chromatic Carapace, not dropping too often. Decomposed of Soul Traits Electro both have a drop rate of 10%, subject to recalculation, even though the product is only an eyeball 55 epic item. What? Yeah, eyeball 55 epic item. Not eyeball 55. The drop rate of Dalaran's Sacred Charge will be increased to that of Dalaran's Tribal Guardian. The drop rate of Postmaster's Band will be increased to that of the other pieces of the set. The Corrupted Ashbringer will be turned into a quest item with a 100% drop rate if it is legendary and requires level 62 to equip and can be turned in the Light Soap Chapel for epic rewards. Because letting players wield the Ashbringer was a mistake. Legendary weapons will generally have a drop chance of 1% in order to make them closer to actually being legendary, unlike in Classic Not Plus, where every third warrior had a fucking Thunder Fury Angel or Sulfuros. Usually or. All elementals and various living and undead creatures capable of dropping elemental regens and such and whatnot will drop elemental regens according to these dropping formulae. For elemental earth, air, fire, and water, level 1 to 15, mobs have 0% drop chance as before. Level 16 and 39, mobs have a level divided by 8% drop chance. Level 40 and 49, mobs have a level divided by 10% drop chance. And level 50 to 63, mobs have a level divided by 12% drop chance. Core of Earth, Heart of Fire, Globe of Water, Breath of Air, Acre of Undeath, and Hardened Wild drop chances. For level 40 to 49 mobs, it'll be a level divided by 10% drop rate. And for level 50 to 63 mobs, it'll be a level divided by 12% drop rate. Make this more concise. Level 139 mobs. Drop rate equals 0% as before. Copy, paste. The above value, yes, so Core of Earth, Heart of Fire, Globe of Water, Breath of Air, Acre of Undeath, and Heart of Wild drop chances. Level 139 mobs, it'll be 0% as before. Level 40 to 49 mobs, it'll be level divided by 10%. And for level 50 to 63 mobs, it'll be level divided by 12%. For Essence of Earth, Fire, Water, Air, Undeath, and Living Essence drop rates, for the level 1 to 49 mobs, it'll be 0% as before. And for the level 50 to 63 mobs, it'll have a level divided by 24% drop chance, due to its being a green item rather than a white item. All the above values are doubled for regular elite mobs, multiplied by 10 instead for 5-man dungeon bosses, multiplied by 3 for 10-man raid elite mobs, by 15 for 10-man raid bosses, by 4 for 20-man raid elite mobs, by 20 for 20-man raid bosses, by 10 for 40-man raid elite mobs, and by 40 for 40-man raid bosses, such as Ragnaros. Which of course means that Ragnaros is guaranteed to drop at least 1 Essence of Fire and potentially 2 of them. And will potentially drop 2 of them. These changes can potentially affect how many of an elemental regen a mob has on its loot table should the chance go above 100%. These changes will notably make it be much less profitable than before to farm the elementals in the Eurasi Highlands, but also be worth farming elementals due to how easy it is to kill them. Copy. Paste. Takes just a little bit less file size than before. Tier 1 belts and bracers will now be buying on pickup. AQ20 exclusive equipable trash drops will become bind on pickup. Fireball might drop tier 2 gloves more often than before. Ebon Rock and Flame Gore will no longer drop tier 2 gloves, but Ebon Rock will instead drop tier 2 helms, while Flame Gore will instead drop tier 2 pants. Onyxia will no longer drop tier 2 helms, and Ragnaros will no longer drop tier 2 pants. Yeah. Because tier 2 helms would move to Blackwing Glare, as were tier 2 pants. Azure Ghost no longer drop Eshkandar's left claw. It'll instead drop off of Veil, Straws, and Corrupt, and so the claw will be an item level 65 epic item. Lord Kazak will no longer drop Eshkandar's pelt. It'll instead drop with Lord Mankadir, and so it will be an item level 65 epic item. And Boundazar will no longer drop. And Boundazar will no longer drop Book of the Dead. It will be dropped like Cormac, the Dungeon 1 boss, in Skullvance, where Frost Sorcerer is instead. Inventory container changes. That is, containers that are in or part of your inventory, as opposed to things such as mining nodes and chests that are objects out in the world. So, ammo patches will no longer increase your attack speed of bows, crossbows, throwing weapons, or wands, because why the fuck would they? Quivers will no longer increase your attack speed of guns, throwing weapons, or wands, because why the fuck would they? The legendary gun quest chain will also reward you with a bind on pickup epic 18-slot ammo pouch that increases its range haste by 15% when you use a gun. It's an automatic ammunition dispenser. Potion bags and engineering bags will be added to the game, but all herbalism and enchanting bags will be removed from the game, seeing as how those guys don't actually need all that much bag space. That should imply all that high of the enchanter regen does I've added to the game. See sections number 8.2 blacksmithing and 8.5 engineering for more information. Tightly sealed trunk, which is obtained from fishing, will be renamed to copper reinforced trunk. Watertight trunk, also obtained from fishing. These trunks are obtained from fishing. Watertight trunk will be renamed to bronze reinforced trunk. Ironbound trunk will be renamed to iron reinforced trunk. Mithril bound trunk will be renamed to mithril reinforced trunk. Its heart will now have thorium reinforced trunks instead of mithril reinforced trunks. These are the 46 and 55 versions of mithril reinforced trunks that compensate for not being able to offer a tier of cloth or leather above rune cloth or rugged leather, since this don't exist, by providing more rune cloth and rugged leather than if both options were rune cloth / rugged leather. These are not capable of containing gems that are only found in rich thorium veins. In Zul'Gurub and the Ghostlands, you'll now be able to fish up Arcanite reinforced trunks, which are the 56 to 58 versions of thorium reinforced trunks with a bit more rune cloth and rugged leather. These are capable of containing gems found in rich thorium veins, but you're far better off running around mining stuff if you want arcane crystals. Battered chest, the item, will be renamed to small wooden chest. Small chest, the item, will be renamed to small rusty chest. Small lock chest, which is an item, will be renamed to small bronze-bound chest. Sturdy lock chest, the item, will be renamed to small iron-bound chest. Iron-bound lock chest, an item, will be renamed to small mithril-bound chest, and reinforced lock chest, which is an item, will be renamed to small thorium-bound chest. And then in Zul'Gurub and the Ghostlands, you'll be able to special. In Zul'Gurub and the Ghostlands, you'll be able to fetch up small Arcanite-bound chests, which are locked, containing carrying level 56 and 58 stuff, and require 300 lockpicking to pick. Bags will now all have level requirements to equip, except quest bags, in order to not only increase the satisfaction of reaching certain levels, but also to increase the economic value of bags that have less than 14 slots and to 14 slotters. To those concerned about bake-all space, let's use mailbox storage more. So, buy now pick up quest reward bags will have no level requirement, overriding all other bag level requirements. Of course, you'll still have to be of a high enough level to do your respective quests. Six-slot regular bags have no level requirement. 8-slot regular bags require level 10 to equip. 10-slot regular bags require level 20 to equip. 12-slot regular bags require level 20 to equip. 10-slot regular bags require level 20 to equip. 12-slot regular bags require level 30 to equip. 14-slot regular bags require level 40 to equip. 16-slot regular bags require level 50 to equip. And 18-slot regular bags, such as supply bag, Onyxia hide backpack, and Panther hide sack, and bottomless bag, actually those are the only ones, those require level 60 to equip. Soul pouch requires level 40 to equip. Fellcloth bag requires level 50 to equip, and core Fellcloth bag requires level 60 to equip, and quivers and ammo patches are unchanged. For the new bags, see sections number 8.2 blacksmithing and engineering, 8.2 blacksmithing, and 8.5 engineering for more information. You can just scroll down here yourself if you care. Other item changes. The of X resistance suffixes will be 25% less effective on rings in particular than before, making them be on par with other of resistance suffix. Making them be on par with of resistance suffixes for other item slots per itemization point. Per itemization point. Copy, paste. Speaking to that Pagel will position a copy of Nat Pagel's Guide to Extreme Anger, and it'll give you a dialogue option to ask about the Ashbringer. He'll tell you fish something up that says that Mograine is an extremist, so it's the Ashbringer. Fist weapons will no longer innately grant immunity to disarm when wielded in the main hand. If you can equip a fist weapon, then it can be forcibly unequipped too, because that's how it'd work in real life. It'd just be harder to disarm a fist weapon, however, but you can still do it. And also, I'd like to not have to bounce fist weapons around them, granting it disarm immunity. Torch of Retribution, a certain quest item, in the Searing Gorge will be turned into an offhand frill, no longer a two-handed weapon, that has a different, smaller model of some sort. This is to prevent it from doing really weird stuff by not having a weapon type and possibly being used for some sort of exploit. All blue items that come exclusively from Lord Rawcourt and from Mordon will be labeled as unique items in order to lessen sources of non-competitive income to a small extent. Unique as in you cannot have more than one in your bags at a time, and you simply cannot loot duplicates of the item if you have it already, even if it's in your bank. The gray items, Heavy War Staff and Stout War Staff, will be renamed to Heavy Staff and Stout Staff, respectively, because it's already an item called War Staff, which is a lower level requirement, and I don't want heavier stout to denote being worse, because that'd be weird. A quality of life change. An item that has bonus armor will have its armor value in green text, like in the Burning Crusade and onwards. There is nothing wrong with that. Unless free-for-all loot is enabled, when you're about to master loot or roll on an otherwise want to pick up item while you're in a group and someone else is close enough to loot, you'll have to type confirm before you're allowed to obtain the item, and it's saying that you are required to type delete before you are allowed to delete your character at a character creation screen. This is to prevent mislooting. Copy. Paste. All non-class specific sources of spell damage and healing will no longer scale with bonus spell damage or bonus healing. Not doing this means that either A, procs on items and such are too valuable if you have a lot of bonus spell damage or healing, or B, said procs are shit for people who do not have a lot of bonus spell damage or healing. Bonus SPD/healing, unless they're procs at what scale it does anyway. I don't like this change myself, but I don't have much other choice here. Copy. Paste. Now that bonus spell damage of all types and plus healing no longer affect non-class spells, buffs and items and such like grants and such follow the description change to say quotation mark spells, quotation mark, instead of quotation mark spells and effects, quotation mark. For example, instead of Belt of Untapped Tower saying increase damage and healing done by magical spells and effects by up to X, it'll say increases damage and healing done by magical spells by up to X, without the and effects part. Thunder Strike, also known as Vendor Strike, will keep its weapon enchant, even temporary ones, if any, after changing to Shadow Strike, also known as Nexus Strike, and vice versa, to make the weapon be less bad. This will be implemented in such a way that Thunder Strike can keep one enchant, while Shadow Strike can keep the other, and other potentially different enchant. Anathema will be changed similarly. Anathema/benediction. Using a Tish, benediction/anathema, or Thunder Strike/Shadow Strikes on these effects won't invoke a random profession cooldown, and it'll be usable while both your professions are on cooldown. And they won't be put on cooldown by other non-trinkets that have an on-use effect. Equipable non-trinkets. Forgot that part. Copy. Paste. Remember to make a Tish benediction anathema and Thunder Strike/Shadow Strike not be put on cooldown by non-trinket by equipable non-trinkets. The on-use effects of equipable non-trinkets. Save. Dungeon gear won't be updated as it has been done in patch 2.3.0 because it makes the leveling process be too easy for people who do dungeons. The eyeball equals 23 Viridian Band of suffix will be renamed to Lesser Viridian Band of suffix to avoid a minor naming conflict that existed in vanilla. Oasis Snapdrops will now drop raw long-jaw mud snipers instead of raw rainbow fin albacore. The latter fish do not exist in those oases, while the former fish do. Dark moon cards will no longer drop from mobs in the outer block off depths, seeing as how they now only drop from 10 and 20 man raids. And outer block off depths is a low 50s dungeon, while inner block off depths, which is not a separate instance, is a 10 man raid. Dark Iron Thunderer is renamed to Dark Iron Cleaver. By the way, mobs that exist in both inner and outer block off depths will not drop Dark Moon cards, including mobs that also exist in inner BRD. Copy. Paste. Dark Iron Thunderer is renamed to Dark Iron Cleaver, seeing as how it no longer sunders the opponent's armor. Grand Marshal's Thunderer is similarly renamed to Grand Marshal's Great Axe. Exploding Shot, Ice-Threaded Arrow, and Ice-Threaded Bullet Reap will be renamed to something else, and the Ice-Threaded ammunition will no longer have frosting visual effects, nor any visual effects at all. This will save me some feature creep that will involve making a good percentage of ammunition deal elemental damage that does not come from the bow, crossbow, or gun that fires it, and it'll also save me having to add visual effects for them. All non-temporary items that are looted from a non-inventory container, not counting items such as lockboxes or Quergo's treasure, or from non-player characters, will randomly be found at 70 to 100% durability. This is to provide a gold sink for the economy, which it could really use. This to help to prevent inflation from helping to keep economic inflation down. Copy. Yeah, that's better information. Paste. Redemption Spoilers will have its wings removed from it and the shoulders rounded out because the wings look kind of dumb. The description of these spell resistance penetration stat, that is, resist all penetration stat, will be changed to say, quotation mark, causes your spells to ignore X of your opponent's magic resistance, quotation mark, instead of, quotation mark, decreases the magic resistance of your target by X, of your targets by X, quotation mark, so that the description is not misleading. It does not reduce your opponent's resistances. Rather, it ignores your opponent's resistances, which is very different. It does not affect how other people's spells hit the opponent. It only affects how your spells hit the opponent. Steel Arrow Crossbow will be renamed to Steel Handled Crossbow. The name makes no sense. The crossbow is out of ammo, especially since it does not make magic that the arrows. Especially since it doesn't have magic that makes the arrows have steel arrowheads, and then if it did add weaken the arrows, they were, for instance, thorium-headed arrows. Because steel is not as good as thorium, in this case. Iron Plate Buckler will be renamed to Plated Buckler because iron is used to make stuff much more powerful than item level 15 equipment, which that is. Glowing Cat Figurine, Dog Whistle, and Spiked Collar shall be turned into trinkets in order to cut down on the tryhardery. Glowing Cat Figurine will require level 20 to equip, and Dog Whistle and Spike Collar will require level 30 to equip. Peace. Glowing Cat Figurine's Ghost Sayer will be untameable, but you'll be able to spawn a tameable one by looting a Glowing Cat Figurine from the relevant non-corpse objects out in the world. The little statues or whatever that you see out in the world as objects and not simply as items. The Ghost Saber summoned by using the trinket will be level 20 and deal 31 average damage per hit, and the trinket will last for 3 seconds and has a 10-minute cooldown, and it'll have no charges, so essentially infinite charges. Dog Whistle will summon 3 dogs at once when used, and the dogs will be level 30 and deal 23 average damage per hit, and a trinket will have a 30-second duration, and a 10-minute cooldown, and it'll have no charges, so essentially infinite charges. Spiked Collar Spell Hunter will deal 17.5 damage per hit, and it'll last for 1 minute, and it'll last for 1 minute and a 5-minute cooldown. And the collar, I don't have to say that it'll have infinite charges because that's taken for granted. I mean, yeah, that's just, you would assume that by default. All equipable items have temporary effects, some do not, will end their effects early if you unequip them in order to cut down on tryhardery. So, for example, you can't just use the dog whistle and then immediately unequip it to instead equip a passive trinket and keep the dogs. Which would be pretty bad for tryhard. Which would be, not be nice. Rather, well, it'd be fun, but it wouldn't be balanced. It'd be imbalanced, okay? The following items shall share cooldowns with each other and only each other, with the cooldown invoked on all the items being equal to the cooldown of the triggering item. All health stones, elemental protection potions, frozen rune, battle standards, Stratholm, Stormwind, and Stranglethorn Veil Holy Water, dark runes, demonic runes, Whipperroot Tuber, Night Dragon's Breath, Razor Lash Root, Leather Root, Crystal Basilisk Spine, which still sucks, Thistle Tea, Love Fool, Cinder Breachers, Mechanical Grinch, Magic Dust, and Magic Candle. Notice they did not put Mechanical Yeti. The one for the quest reward in Winter Spring. Because that is a limited time per character item. A limited use per character item. And those do not have to be balanced. Anyway, the quest givers that offer certain items as quest rewards will also be vendors that only have 1 or 2 specific items to sell in an infinite stock. Those items being the irreplaceable quest rewards that they offer, and they'll only sell said items if you have completed the quests that offer said quest rewards. The following list of items shall be purchasable by players at 500% under normal price in this way. 500% of the otherwise normal price in this way. Fire Hardened and Brutal Halberd. Skull Fire Hardened or Brutal Halberd. Skull Impending Doom. Nifty Stopwatch. Fiery Blaze enchantments. Because there was a one-handed and two-handed version now. Loofah. Carrot on its stick. Lincoln's Boomerang. Bear Off Peasant Collar. Sprinter's Sword. Diamond Flask. Sanctified Orb. Devil Sword Eye. Devil Sword Tooth. Sescabat Drake. Enamored Water Spirit. Fire Ruby, but not Glacial Spike. Soul Harvester, just for the looks. And Abyss Shard. As I said before, I already said this. Should the trading card game die and stay dead for a consecutive year, the collector's edition of the game will retroactively allow you to choose from a reward of one of the trading card game's small pets, but only one of them, per purchase of the collector's edition. Box. The whole collector's edition. There will never ever be a hidden random number generator manipulation buff that you get whenever you loot an epic or legendary upgrade from a raid that makes it more satisfying to get the item than it's supposed to be. For the rest of the item changes, see world. So, for example, when you get an epic or legendary item for a raid, you will not secretly get a hidden buff that increases your critical strike chance by 20% or some bullshit like that, to artificially make you want to get more loot. For the rest of the item changes, see world buff changes under section number 4 world, the bottom section number 5 PvP, and section number 8 professions. And I have finally finished revising this entire section. And section number 3 items. And section number 3 items. Woo! Okay. Cut. Paste. Copy. Paste. What? Paste. Okay, now it's much longer. Save. Save. Ooh. Now I just gotta remember to pay my internet and electricity bills. Okay, and that's the whole section finally revised. Okay, I'm not stream now. See you sometime.